This conference will now be recorded.
I'd like to welcome everybody for today's Professional Services Series session number 49 with NSA. This is one of those cool type of services that we've had, one of the neater ones that we'll be presenting today. It's about automating your work experience with Siri. My name is Brian Weaver. I'm the VP of Sales here at NSA, and I'd like to introduce our speaker for today. And our speaker is Rob Thayer. Rob is a senior consultant with NSA. And I will ask Rob to go ahead and get started. I will get off camera. And again, if you do have questions, please enter them into the chat. Rob will take questions a couple of times during the session today. If you do need to resize the screen, there's a plus and minus to the right of your PowerPoint arrival there, so you can resize it for yourself. With that, Rob, I'll ask you to take it away.
Great. Thank you, Brian. And hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar session. As Brian mentioned, my name is Rob Thayer, and I work as a consultant, a senior consultant for NSA. I've been here for about 4 years now, and I come from the Infor world, from partners in Montreal. I worked with Groupe Laurier and then Infor. And now I'm with NSA. And so what I do is I do a lot of the tech stack work. So I build workflows, I do mappings, I do scripting. I've done a lot of those things, interesting things indeed. And so I do enjoy working with technology, and I enjoy working with the Infor tech stack. I think it's a very powerful platform to be able to leverage for just about any means of connecting and managing your data. I think it's a great technology that Infor has developed. And so how this ties together is I kind of like technology in itself, and I'm kind of an Apple guy, and I noticed one time that they have a tool called Siri shortcuts or shortcuts. This started with version 12, I think, of iOS, and it sparked my interest. And so I had started playing around with it, and with home automation and things like that. I thought, well, that's pretty neat because I can use Siri to watch movies on Netflix, or turn my lights off, or turn them on when I get home, and things like that. And then I started wondering, well, how can I integrate this kind of cool technology with Infor Tech Stack? And so then I started discovering some of the things that I can do. And so that's what I want to do today, is I want to show you guys some of the ways that you can automate your work experience through, using tools that you've had in your pocket the whole time. So basically, for those who aren't familiar with shortcuts, basically what a shortcut is, if you think of a script is it's basically just a text file that your system knows how to run, and it can perform tasks in sequence, or it can perform tasks simultaneously as well. So the thing with Siri shortcuts is it's quite similar. And what you can do with shortcuts is that you can use them, you can customize them to add multiple actions to do many different things. And so Apple's developed all of these different actions that you can put inside of your shortcuts. So again, think of a shortcut as a script that could automate specific tasks. With a shortcut, you could do something like create a credit limit shortcut. So you have a shortcut on your desktop, on your iPad, or your phone for that matter. And if you wanted to get a quick glimpse into a customer's credit limit, well, if you've written a shortcut and put it as a home icon, you can simply tap that and get the information that you're looking for really quickly. And if you wanted to, you can even ask Siri and have Siri read out that information to you. I mean, the sky's really the limit in what you can do, but that's just an example of how you can use a shortcut with CSD. So as part of shortcuts, they also have what are called actions. So the actions are actually, let's say, like the lines of code in a script, or the lines in the script of tasks or actions that you want to execute. So really, they're building blocks in a shortcut. You can create a shortcut with a single action, or you can create a shortcut with many different actions that get values from previous actions in your shortcut. So another part of shortcuts are automations. As I mentioned before, I used to work a lot um, with the shortcuts when it was related to home automation. So some things that I would do, for example, is I'd set up an automation that if I left the house, the lights would go down and maybe the radio would come on, so the dog had some listening music in the background. Or when I come home, it detects Siri detects my geolocation, and so what it'll do is it'll turn on the front light, so I'm not fumbling around with my keys to stick it in the slot in the door to unlock the door. So automations are basically just different triggers that you can trigger your scripts or your shortcuts off of. So I had many questions. I'm always thinking of different things, and how can I, do things like make my tasks more efficient every day. Everything I do in a day, how can I make that more efficient? How can I do it more quickly? Other questions were like, how can I be more productive at work? Sometimes logging into CSD and navigating to OET and doing order entry, or going into IDM or things like that to download an invoice or something like that can be tedious. Well, how can I make those things faster? How can I do that more quickly and efficiently? And so these were some questions that I had. And of course, my final question, well, not my final question, but another big question I had is there a way to get this information from my ERP, from CSD, from IDM, from Sightline, or any other ERP? Is there a way I can get this information more quickly? And so the answer was ultimately yes. With the Infor Ion Gateway and the Ion APIs, shortcuts can just talk to any exposed API, and they can do it securely. So I can request an authentication token or a bearer token, and I can use that in my communication back to the exposed API endpoints that Infor exposes. So some of the other things also, just so I mean, the opportunities or the ideas are really endless, and things that you can do with shortcuts. But just think of just normal shortcuts where you can ask Siri to set a reminder for something. I mean, yeah, you have your Outlook, but sometimes you're not sitting behind your Outlook all the time, and a reminder might be nice to come up to do something. You may even say, "Hey, listen, I'm really busy at this moment. I don't want to. I don't want to have to go into CSD and send the report to my boss that he asked me to send every day at 5 o'clock because something didn't work." Well, you can interface with Infor with reports. You can send a report to yourself or to someone else. You can do other things like get travel time to your customer, or send an invoice, or the list just really goes on. So those are some of the things that I discovered as I was asking questions and thinking, how can I put this all together to accomplish those things, to accomplish my tasks more quickly and efficiently. So with that, what I'd like to do, excuse me, is I'd like to share some of my shortcuts with you, and I hope through this that it'll inspire you, to come up with your own, inspire you to reach out, and I'd love to work with you on some of these things. And with that, let's take a look and see. Oh no, I forgot the directions to my customer. What am I going to do? Oh, get directions to customer.
For which customer?
Jones Manufacturing Company. Oh, not too bad. Only 14 hours away. Hello.
Hey Rob, it's Mark. I'm trying to find a copy of invoice 2335 and I can't seem to find it in my emails. Would you mind sending me another copy?
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, not a problem. I'll send that right away. Send Mark Garner a copy of invoice number
Invoice number
2335. So with that, there you saw a couple different things. One of them was that I was able to ask Siri to send an invoice to a customer. But the first one was that I was able to, in the car, um, get directions for one of my customers. Now, I could easily, or not so easily, but it would be a tedious task basically to go in and try and copy all of that account information from ARSC to my phone. And so that's not what I wanted to do. And what I ended up doing was through the use of APIs, I was able to get information back from ARSC for that customer and get that customer's address, and have Apple Maps open up to that specific location and get me directions to the customer. So that's one great way to be able to interact with CSD in the background using APIs. Again, you're just accessing the data that's already there. You don't need to duplicate efforts. The other thing that I showed is that as I was driving along, I wanted to, my customer called basically and wanted to get an invoice that he'd misplaced or couldn't find. And so instead of pulling over on the side of the road and flipping over my laptop or telling the customer, listen, after I get to my destination, I'll send it to you. I was able to just ask Siri to send that invoice. So through a series of APIs, I'm able to communicate with IDM and ask Siri to grab that invoice by using its invoice number, and it pulls up as an email, and I'm able to just simply click or hit the tap or send button, pardon me, and have that sent to my customer. And that was just a matter of me asking Siri to do it. I didn't have to log into my notebook and log into CSD or IDM and download it and then create an email and send it. It's all automated. So as you can see, it really dramatically speeds up the process. So another thing that I thought would be interesting is getting product availability. So it can be a tedious task to look up product and see how much stock we have in which warehouses and whatnot. And so I thought, a neat little shortcut to put together could be something that gets product availability by warehouse, for example. I can also use that same shortcut to limit what I'm seeing on the screen. So if, for example, there is no stock in a specific warehouse, we just don't show it. And so basically the notification comes on my screen, but I could really do anything I want with the data. I can send the data in an email, I could print the data, I could save it in a database somewhere else, I can send it to IDM. So really the sky's the limit with what you want to do. But basically here's an example of just that shortcut. So as you saw, that was pretty quick and painless. Again, it could be just the tap of an icon on your desktop, or it can be achieved by using your voice. Um, Something else I put together is just an example to show how you can ask Siri to send you a report. You can even ask Siri to send. You can ask her to send it in an email, or you can ask um, to send it to print it for that matter, or you can even have it sent to IDM if you wanted to. There's just a bunch of different ways that you can handle this. But in this example, I'm basically having a report sent to me just by asking Siri. So I'm going to ask Siri to get my inventory control budget report because I think that's interesting. So again, that was just a pretty basic example of what you can do, but it certainly saves a lot of time. Yes, of course, you can schedule reports to be sent at a specific time, but it's just an example to show that you can actually run reports. Another thing I came up with, which I thought could be useful, and I think, it made me start to think. I mean, we're often supporting Topaz devices and signing things with our Topaz device, but we also have the ability in our pocket to do that with our finger or with a pen, an Apple Pen or something, or even with our mouse. Sometimes, there might be a good reason that you'd want to mark up a document and then send it back to IDM or send it to someone else so that they can get the note on the document. But here's an example that I came up with that calls IDM to get an invoice, and I can use the markup tools that Apple provides on our devices to be able to mark it up and send that marked up document back. So let's take a look and see how that works.
For which order number? 1 sec.
And so I've got another one I wanted to show you, and these are, again, recorded, but I will also show you some that I have on my phone so that you can see it live in person. But here's one that if you've ever gone into order entry and you're looking at products and sometimes you see either like, well, maybe not a red X, but a red square with a white X, or you see an image placeholder instead of the actual image for the product. You know, it could be a tedious task to go and find a product and download it to your desktop or upload it and then upload it to IDM. Well, I thought, well, couldn't it be a convenient way just to go search for a product image and just upload it directly to IDM and have it show up after you refresh, your screen? And so this is what I came up with. So as you can see, it kind of makes things pretty simple to do. It's just writing something that is really not even that difficult to write, to be honest with you. It's a lot of drag and drop using the shortcuts application, but you can build some pretty interesting things. And again, these are just examples. It doesn't mean that this is all you can do. And they're just some things I thought I'd like to share. So again, everything so far has been recorded in videos, and I wanted to show you that. But I have a couple other ones, or a few other ones, sorry, that I'd like to show you in real time so that you can kind of see it happen on my phone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to get out of full screen here, and I'm going to show you on my phone some of the shortcuts and how they work. So basically, I have this one here. So this is what I thought I'd show you. And this is basically, you know, if you ever wanted to get a quick look into your customer's credit limit. Well, we all know that it could be kind of a tedious task to do something like that, going through CSD and whatnot. And there has to be a better way for sure. And so this is one that I wrote. So this is the icon the shortcut to get the credit limit. Again, you can add it to your screen, your home screen. If you have a Mac, you can add it to your toolbar, I guess, at the bottom. And or you can even ask Siri just to get the customer's credit limit. So I'll go ahead and I'll run this one. It's going to ask for which customer. Now you can either put in an account number or the name, but you have to manufacturing company. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the name in, and there you go. It was as easy as that. So the details come back right away. You can add whatever details you want to the notification that comes up on your screen. But we see, you know, we put some other information, and what was the last sale amount? The last sale amount was $102.87, and that was done yesterday. And they have quite the credit limit. So that's pretty simple, and you can even configure it so that you just ask Siri, and then she just tells you if ever you wanted to get that information quickly. Another thing that I thought could be a useful shortcut was that sometimes maybe you want to take a picture of something. You want to take a picture of a pallet in a warehouse or something, who knows, and send it to IDM for you know, safekeeping or something that you can look up later in the future. And so this is my desktop here. I'll flip that around, take a picture of myself. Woohoo. And I'm going to use that photo. I'll give it a name. And I'll send that up to IDM. So that's done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into document management. And there you go. You see it's uploaded right away, just like that. So there may be uses for that where you need to, I'll delete that so I spare everybody in the company. But basically, if you ever needed to take a picture of something and store it in IDM, well, it's something that you can do very easily by creating a shortcut on your phone. And then there's another one I wanted to show you too, and this could be something that, you know, replaces, maybe one day it'll replace scan guns, maybe not, but it could be something that you could build to be extremely useful for your scenario. And that one is to pretty much get the same product availability, but instead of typing in the product code, I can use a barcode, because your phone has the ability to read barcodes as well. So I do have a handy dandy barcode right here, and what I'll do is I will show you. Oh, that's pretty quick, but basically it reads the barcode information, goes out and gets product availability for that specific product. So that's really what I have for demo. I guess what I'll do at this point is I'll leave it to Brian to see if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, Rob, that was terrific. Really cool stuff there. So, maybe some folks on the line have some ideas about things that they might want to consider using Siri for, maybe to run by Rob. While we're waiting on that, Rob, is there anything more you can share in terms of how easy this might be to set up, or can NSA assist clients to be able to set up a few things if they have some things they'd like to be able to do?
Well, I do. In fact, I have some exercises and I have some files up on our GitHub. And in the next couple slides, I have some QR codes where I would, if you're interested, you guys can take a screenshot. So you can use those QR codes to go and grab a couple shortcuts. So there's two shortcuts. One's an authentication shortcut, and another one is actually the get the product availability shortcut. And I also have some exercises on the GitHub website too, that you can use to learn to configure those shortcuts. And I'll walk through that actually. You guys can watch, you guys can follow along with the documentation or whatnot. And I also have another exercise up there to actually build from scratch the product availability shortcut. And of course, those will be up on our GitHub site for 30 days, and you can download them when you wish and follow along. And if there's any questions after the conference, you guys can also feel free to reach out to me or to support, and we can help you with that.
That sounds great, Rob. Yeah, I don't see any questions at the moment, so if you want to just continue on, that'd be great.
Okay. All right, so what I'll do then is I will move along and I will go through some of the exercises and show you how you can access those files and what you would need to do to install it on your device, and what you would need to do to configure it to work with your tenant. And then if you have any questions after that, then we'll talk about anything you guys want to talk about. But basically, just to summarize, really, with everything that you've seen today, that's just really the tip of the iceberg. What you can do with this technology and the technology that's been in your pocket the whole time. No, if you're an Android user, there's got to be other ways to do it. But I'm sorry, this is an Apple show, but basically, I mean, again, the possibilities are really endless in what you can do with Siri and with shortcuts and Apple technologies. So again, moving along, let's take a look and see what's required in order to get one of these things to run on your system or your phone even. Basically, what you would need is you'll need an iPad or an iPhone, or if you have a Mac, that's great too. It'll run on a Mac. I mentioned notebook here because one of the things that you do need to get from your tenant is a credential file. So when you create a backend service in Ion API Gateway, what happens is you can download, it creates and you can download a credential file, and that's what's used to be able to get your bearer token to be able to pass through in your API calls that you're making through your shortcut. So that you can do on a notebook, and then you can transfer that over to your phone or your iPad, or if you're going to do it on your laptop, then don't have to worry about it. But of course, you're going to have iOS 12, iPad OS 13, or Mac OS Monterey and above or newer. You're going to need to know what the tenant name is that you want to connect to. So as an example, we use NSA COM DEM, but here I put prod, so most customers don't have a DEM environment. But you can, your company, let's say it's ABC company underscore TRN underscore TST or underscore prod. That's what makes up the URL for you to connect to, so that it knows which tenant to direct communications to. Again, you're going to need your backend Ion API credentials, your backend service, and in order to follow along with creating or configuring the pre-configured shortcuts that are up on our site, you're going to want to download the authentication shortcut, and you're also going to want to download the product availability shortcut. So those are some of the things that you're going to need in order to at least set up the shortcut that's up there that I've configured for you guys. And then of course I encourage you to go through the shortcut and understand how it works, and maybe expand on that, build your own. And of course, like I said, there's also a documentation exercise up in the downloads that you can download that teaches you how to build one from scratch. So this is the screen I was talking about. If it's not big enough, let me know. I can try and expand this, but something I'd recommend that you take a screenshot of. Or what I can also do is I can take this URL and I can post that in the chat. So either you can scan these QR codes, or you can go to the URL and download the material that you need. So I just put that into the chat if anybody wants to access the shortcuts. I don't know, should I leave it here? Does anybody want me to leave it on here? Did everybody get a screenshot? Should we continue?
Yeah, Rob, everyone will be getting a copy of this recording session, so they can also grab it, a little bit later if they don't have a chance at present.
Okay, perfect. Okay. All right. Well, so basically this these QR codes bring you to our not there, sorry, to our GitHub. Basically, this is the repository where you can download everything that you need to download to make this work. Links are here. And so what I'll do is I'll walk you through the first step. And basically the first step is to to get the materials that you need here. And let me do this. I'll show you on my screen here. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay. So what I will do is I will use my camera. I find using your camera works the best to catch these QR codes. Of course, it's not right now. Okay. So what this does, just so you know, and this is important for you guys too, because if you decide to grab these things, you're going to want to grab the shortcuts on an Apple device, because otherwise they're not going to help you very much. The exercises are Word documents, so again, you can download those on any device, really. But in order to be able to get this download, it's a little bit different from what you would probably expect. Basically, what you need to do is right here where it says View Raw at the bottom, you're going to have to tap that on your device, and it'll ask you to download it. And and how you know it's downloaded is this little blue icon down here has a little download icon. So that means you're good to go. So that would have been saved to your files, and we'll go into files in a minute and we'll take a look at what we need to do. So that's the authentication shortcut. So that's one thing. Now the next thing that we would want to get is the actual product availability shortcut. So this is just a link to the shortcut, and what you can simply do here is you can hit the add shortcut, and what that'll do is it'll install it into your device. So you see here it's added it to my all shortcuts. And then the last thing you can do, either using your device or by going to this link, you can download the exercises and then extract them. So what I'll do here is I'll just download them. So I have everything that I need on my phone. And I do, again, the view raw, pardon me, not showing the right thing. Wish I would not do that. Okay, so I'm going to download that. And again, it's been downloaded because we see the little download icon here. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my files, and I'm going to go to my downloads because that's where they go to. And as far as the shortcut is concerned, all you have to do for the auth shortcut is you just need to tap it and it'll extract it automatically. And then you can go into your to your shortcut folder, tap the shortcut, and again, it's just going to say, hey, do you want to install this as a shortcut? So go ahead and click add, and now you have both of your shortcuts downloaded and installed. So for now, what I'm going to do is just minimize this, and I'm going to go to our tenant. Now, this is the part where you're going to need your API file, and this is how you can create it. Again, there's documentation under exercises here that you can use to create your Ion API file. And it's a pretty straightforward process, but basically you're going to log into your tenant. And of course, this can be done on your laptop, it can be done on your iPad or your iPhone. But basically you're going to go into your app menu, and what you want to look for is your Infor Ion API. Now, if you don't have access to that, you're going to need to have the Ion administrator, Ion API administrator role. I'd have to look that up. I may have that wrong, but you'd have to have an administrator role, the API administrator role, I'm pretty sure, to be able to access this to create backend credentials. Once you're in there, this is what it looks like. And what you need to do is go in your little hamburger menu and go to authorized apps. Again, this is documented in the material and the exercises. So if you get lost here, you're more than welcome to follow along or send a message, and I'd be more than happy to help you out. So basically what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to create a new one. So I'm going to tap on the plus sign here. I'm going to tap create a new set of credentials. Let's call this one Siri webinar number 49. And we will select the radio button that says backend service. Then what we're going to do is we're going to give it a description because it's mandatory. You see the little red star there. It means we have to fill this out. So we'll just call this Siri webinar, and we'll call it Siri webinar 49. So let's click done. And that's all we have to enter for information. Pretty straightforward. Then we'll go ahead and we'll click save at the top. And you'll see that it's saved our credentials. Now we need to access those credentials. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to download here. We'll go ahead and we'll tap on that. And we do want to create a service account. This is important for the way that these shortcuts authenticate. They do require the service account. So what we do is we just go and toggle this on here. There we go. And then for this exercise, or you can, if you go and do this on your own, you can create your own service account or your own user to use as a service user. But for this exercise, what you can do is just add your own user account here. So I'm going to type in Rob, and it's going to come up with my user account name. And then I'm going to click download. So one of the problems with on your phone, it's not actually a problem, it's just Infor doesn't know how to handle this, or the Safari, I think this doesn't know how to handle this. I think it's more Infor, but click OK, and that's fine. But at the bottom of the screen, right down here, you're going to see where it says download. So you can still download this file. And we're going to go show, and we're going to tap it, and we're going to send it to our files. So I already have a folder saved where I like to put my authentication files. You guys can put it in your downloads, doesn't matter. And I'm just going to click save. So it wasn't very difficult, but again, it's all documented. And now there's only one more step as far as that Ion API file is concerned. What we do is we go into our files. We find the file that we just downloaded, the Ion API file. And here we see we have Siri webinar 49. Again, for you guys, it'll probably be in your downloads folder. But what we need to do is we need to hold it. Just put your thumb on it or your finger on it and hold it. And this is going to bring up what is equivalent to, let's say, a context menu. In Apple world, they call it a share sheet. So what you're going to do is you're going to rename it. And the reason why we need to rename it is because Apple doesn't know what an Ion API file extension is, but it does know how to read JSON files. So what we're going to do is we're going to change that to JSON. We're going to use JSON for that. And that's all we have to do. I mean, unless you want to move it somewhere else, you certainly can do that. or just leave it in that same location. Now, again, all of this is documented. I'll walk through the documentation quickly. I think we still have a bit of time. I'll do that after. But basically, what we need to do is configure the two shortcuts. Super simple stuff. We're going to go in and we see the three dots here at the top of, we'll start with the shareable auth token. We're just going to tap that and click edit. Now, as you can see up top here, this is using a different JSON file for credentials, and that's not the one that you guys are going to use. You're going to use the one that you just downloaded and renamed. So in order to change it, you just tap it. And it's going to open up to your files, and you're going to see your file right away because it's going to open up to recents or downloads. So you just basically tap it and do open. So now by doing that, what you're saying to the shortcut is you're saying use these credentials to be able to authenticate. And so now it's time to test. In order to test, you can just press on your little run icon down at the bottom corner. And you're always, the first time that you run one of these, you're always going to get this message. Just wants to be sure that you feel safe enough to run this. Click always allow. And if you scroll down to the bottom of your screen, you're going to see that you have your bearer token. So this is the response that you get back from the authentication endpoint. It's going to send you a bearer token. And if you set it up to receive refresh tokens, you'll receive that as well. It tells you what kind of token it is, and it tells you when it expires. So basically, this is the information that's required in order to be able to proceed with your API call to get product availability. So this one was super simple to edit. The next thing that we want to do is we want to edit the get product availability. So the same thing, we're going to go here with these three little dots, and we're going to tap it, and we're going to type or hit edit. Now, for your setup, there's only a few little changes you need to make in here. Again, you're not rewriting this whole thing, but what you are doing is you're just changing some things that are unique to your environment. So again, you're going to need to know what your tenant name is, and you're going to need to tell it also which shortcut that you want to run, because in this section here, we're saying we want to run this shortcut and take the output from that shortcut and use it in the rest of our script here, or in our shortcut. So you can actually run other shortcuts to get information, to be able to gather that information in your shortcut. It's kind of cool, actually. But anyway, all you have to do is right here where it says auth token temp, we want to change that because that's not the shortcut we want to run. We want to run the shareable auth token that we downloaded. So there you go. Now, the other thing that you're going to want to change here is the contents of URL. So this URL, this is the endpoint. That's the API endpoint that you're going to be talking to. Problem is, with your credentials, you're not going to be able to access our tenant. So you do need to change your tenant name. That's why you need to know your tenant. And all you really have to do is you have to tap on the URL in the get contents of URL action, and you're just going to change your tenant name. So for me, I'm not going to change it too much, but I'm just showing you, this is how you go ahead and do it. And let's say it's, ABC company _TRN, that's what you would put there. Super simple. And one more thing that you're going to want to change is you'll see this little drop down here. Basically, that expands the contents of this URL where you can add API information. So the headers are already filled out. You don't have to worry about anything there. All you need to worry about is the request body. Now, unfortunately for me, because I'm on a different version of iOS probably than everybody else is, something has changed, and this should actually have more information in it. So what I'm going to do, for your devices, this is going to work absolutely fine, and it's documented what you need to do as well in the documentation. I'll walk through that with you in just a second. But basically, what you should see, I think it's because I have a a different version than you guys. But basically, as you can see here on the request body, you can change the different the values of the parameters that you need to pass. And so what you need to do is you need to make this unique for your company. So your company could be one, it could be 1,000, it could be anything. I'm not really sure what you guys use for company numbers, but basically you'd have to put the appropriate company number in here that you want to get the information from. And you're going to, pardon me, you're going to want to put in operator initials that have the ability to be able to make this call. So in my case, I have sys and sys. You can put in yours if you want, or you can create a new SASL record to be able to access the information. But again, that information on your phone, that part will show up on your phone. Mine is just a little messy right now. The other thing that you can do is here where it says ignore zero available. This is basically to say that, I'm going to get the results for every warehouse, but I don't really want to see a long list of warehouses that have zero available. So this is an optional flag that you can set to true or false. So if you set it to true, basically you're just going to get information back for warehouses that have product availability for that product. So again, up to you. You can set that or not set that. And that's pretty much it. So let's just assume that you have updated all of that, and now it would be time to run the shortcut. So basically, it's the same shortcut you saw in the video. I'm going to click run, and again, so let's just do this one BIP. It's always going to ask you the first time to allow the shortcut to run, and it will ask you again, and there you go. So I've entered a product, and right away it came back with the information for the shortcuts. Now, if I had have changed that ignore zero available, then I wouldn't see CDC, SDC, and TWL. Those just wouldn't show up in my results. But it's a quick, simple way to be able to, install and test a shortcut. It may seem tedious and it may seem like a daunting task to configure one, but I'm sure if you went through one or two of these, on your own time, you'd really get the swing of it pretty quickly. And I mean, again, the sky's the limit with what you can accomplish for your own needs, or for perhaps for others in your company. Excuse me. So we do have a few more minutes. What I think I'll do is I'll just walk through the exercise quickly, and I'll show you what the exercises look like. So this one is creating a Siri shortcut, and I'll come back to that one. So this one here walks you through when you download from that URL, you're going to download the exercises in a zip format. And then of course, when you extract them, your exercises will be available to you. They're Word documents. And the first one is creating a backend service. So if you've never done it before, this walks you through how to create a backend service and to get that Ion API file that you need. Again, it says rename. Don't forget to rename it to JSON, otherwise it's not going to work. And that's pretty much it for that one. So again, that is included with the downloads, with your downloads. The next one is configuring the pre-built shortcuts that I showed you that we downloaded. And basically, there's not too much to it, but you're going to I'll come back to the top here. But it shows you the requirements and then what you need to be able to access it. You can click the link from your desktop, or of course you can scan the QR code and download it to your phone. Again, make sure you click View Raw in order to be able to download it. And that's configuring the auth shortcut. So again, same thing right here. And then you configure your auth shortcut, and then step 2 is to configure the quantity available per warehouse shortcut. You can download it from here, install it, edit it, And then what you're going to do is you're going to make sure to tell it that you you want to run the shareable auth token shortcut. Excuse me. Um, and again, it has the documentation to show you the steps that you need to take. Very, very simple, not too much to really have to do. And here, this is what you should be seeing. For some reason, again, like I said, I don't know, I think it's the update on my phone. You'll see where it says 6 items here, and then all you have to do is tap on that. Pardon me. All you have to do is tap on that, and it's going to expand the body, the request body, so that you can actually change these values to be unique for your company's environment or your company setup. Once you make those simple changes, then it's time to run your shortcut, and you should see a quantity available on your phone. And once you get the swing of it, it doesn't have to be just a notification on your phone. It can be something that you send in an email, or something that you print, or something that you send to somebody else, or maybe you want to put that information back into IDM or load it into some other database somewhere. I mean, I don't know. There's tons of different things that you can do with the results, but in this example, it's just to show that on the screen. And this document is called Creating a Siri Shortcut. This is the whole document where you can follow through to learn how to create a shortcut from beginning to end. It doesn't include the pre-built auth shortcut, but again, you can always go into the authentication shortcut, and you can figure out how that one is built also in order to be able to get your authentication token to build the calls. Nothing's hidden, everything's open, so it's all up to you to use the information in the exercises, and even to dissect your shortcuts to be able to build your own. So that is basically all I have.
Okay, Rob. Well, thank you so much for that presentation. I would just ask, if you don't mind, Rob, if you can just pull up your bio slide for your contact info, just so people get one more chance to take a look at that if they do have any questions. I don't see any questions yet in the chat. I'll just give it another minute here. If anyone has any questions for Rob they'd like to ask here before we wrap. While we're waiting on that, you can see Rob's email address here and his phone if you need to contact him, or just send an email to support@nsacom.com. That'll also make its way to him as well. All right, Rob, it looks like we don't have any further questions. We'll call it a wrap. And I thank you again, my friend, for giving a very informative presentation. And I'll give everybody back 5 minutes of their day. Thank you all for attending.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Brian. Bye-bye, guys.
You bet. Bye now.